So welcome everybody to our next IEECP Lunch Seminar. It's part of our IEECP Lunch Seminar series. Today the topic will be on energy poverty, which is one of the key aspects on the energy policy of in the current decade and the decades and the years to come. The project is a Horizon 2020 financed from the European Commission. It deals with the energy poverty in the private rented sector, which is a specific market segment. My colleague Jen Heemann will present where we stand so far and the key output so far of the project. Jen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Vlasis. So hello, everyone. My name is Jen Heemann. I'm a researcher and project assistant at IEECP, and I'm here to present the ENPOR project, as Vlasis mentioned. So let's see how to do it. Mainly, I'm going to talk about three main topics, let's say. The first one is why we created this project, ENPOR. Why is it needed? So I'm going to briefly talk about what is energy poverty and how does it happen in the private rented sector? What do we know until now? And then I'm going to follow to explain a bit about the project, who we are, the objectives and the activities, and also invite you to follow the ENPOR channels. So let's go. I hope you like it. First of all, on energy poverty. Before presenting the project, I think it's important to first understand why it was created, why is it needed. To put simply, it was created to address energy poverty in Europe. But what is it? What is energy poverty? There isn't one definition of energy poverty, but according to the Energy Poverty Observatory, energy poverty happens when households experience inadequate levels of essential energy services. What does it mean in practice? It's when households are not able to keep their house warm enough during winter, or also when they are not able to keep it cool enough during summer, and when they don't have adequate lighting, and also they don't have the energy to power appliances. These are the essential services needed to guarantee a decent standard of living and citizens' health. Therefore, energy poverty has several consequences for people's health and well-being, ranging from respiratory and cardiac illness to mental health, for example, because of the stress associated with unaffordable energy bills. So, why this project? Energy poverty remains at high levels in the EU member states due to several factors, including increasing energy costs and also the low household incomes, inefficient buildings and appliances, and slow progress on energy efficiency improvements, and also malfunctioning of policies. And although significant work has been done to tackle this issue in the social housing sector, we cannot say the same for the private rented sector, the PRS, which I'm going to say now from now on. So alleviating energy poverty in the PRS is a challenge. It is difficult to identify and quantify energy poverty households in the sector. It is difficult to deliver energy efficiency measures to these households due to several problems such as lack of information or split incentives, which is when the actor paying for the improvement, in this case the landlord, is not the one benefiting from it, which is the tenant, and among other issues. And also there are all sorts of complexities of the sector. For example, we know there is high fragmentation of the sector, which makes it difficult to address a considerable amount of owners and tenants active in the PRS. And there is a lack of targeted policies and incentives also in the sector, in comparison, of course, to what has been done in the social housing or the homeowner sectors. So ENPOR basically was created to address all of these challenges. Of course, this is not easy, but we have a plan. So let's see. Let's discover more now about the ENPOR project. So who we are? Basically, we gather together some strong partners that have very good ideas on how to address such issues, and they have a lot of experience as well in the topic of energy poverty as well as energy efficiency. You can see the partners here in the slide, and I don't think I need to introduce each of them. But just so you know, they are responsible for all sorts of activities from research to policy co-creation and implementation in 7 EU countries. And I'll tell you a bit more about this in the following slides. So for now, I just want to tell you that IEECP is acting here as the project coordinator and is also monitoring the activities and supporting the communication and dissemination action. This project started last September, so September 2020, and it's going to last for 3 years. So the ENPOR objectives, what is ENPOR all about then? We've seen before the importance of addressing energy poverty and the challenges of doing so in the private rented sector. So the main objectives here of ENPOR are of course aligned to that, and they are to make energy poverty in the private rented sector visible and quantifiable in a more inclusive context. This is related to the yellow box that you can see on the left and the blue box, and they cover both studies on energy poverty in the PRS, as well as the creation of the energy poverty dashboard. And also another important objective is to support the design and the implementation of tailored policy to the PRS needs, which is related to the red box in the middle. So ENPOR goal is to generate these innovative and inclusive approaches to address energy poverty in the PRS. And the project does so by working with a variety of stakeholders and through iterative processes of knowledge generation. This is key in this project. Actually, I think one of the not most interesting, but at least for me, it's very interesting aspects of this project is that it has a unique collaboration between the two main stakeholders group here, which is the landlords in one hand and the tenants on the other. So the landlords are represented through the participation of the International Union of Property Owners, and the tenants through the support from the International Union of Tenants. And we've seen already, although the project has just a few months, that this collaboration is essential to the project, I would say, because we had a very interesting debate between the two in the kickoff meeting. And also the inputs already have been valuable for the studies and reports done so far. So let's see, for the depth on the energy poverty policies, in order to understand these policies for the private rented sector, ENPOR is reviewing, evaluating, and synthesizing 30 energy efficiency policies. We're aiming also to understand which are the factors that triggers or prevent the investments in energy efficiency. And as I mentioned before, our goal is to always consider the perspective of both the tenants and landlords. And this is something that you can already see in the reports that were published so far. So if you're curious about the project's findings, you can read the reports about the energy poverty in the PRS and the analysis of the policies, which you can download from the website. And I do recommend you to do so because they turn out to be quite interesting and relevant publications. And soon we have another report coming, which is about the barriers preventing investments in energy efficiency in the PRS. So also, if you're interested, it might be a good idea to sign up to the project's newsletters and receive our news. So on the adoption and implementation of the 10 policies, ENPOR, we are facilitating this reshaping, let's say, of these 10 policies in 7 countries. And we are doing so through co-creation workshops with a variety range of stakeholders. Basically, there is one partner responsible for each country who is moderating all the process and also providing inputs to the project. The goal here is to align these policies to national and EU objectives, but also to collect and consider the needs and perspectives of the different actors, which is a challenge on its own, but a very interesting and relevant one, which we're happy to work on. And the idea is that this adapted version of these policies can then inform the replication of such policies at the EU level. At the moment, the co-creation process is already happening in the 7 countries through what we call the REACT groups. And REACT stands for Regional Energy Action. Well, for each country, the process is in different stage because the policies are different, also the actors and the context also differ. While a few countries will need several meetings to improve the policies, in other countries, because of the type of the policy and the actors involved, the process can be concluded in a shorter period. So we do allow some flexibility here. I think the first meetings happened in April in Italy, if I'm not mistaken, and we expect to have the main inputs for adapting the policies by September or October to start the implementation as soon as possible, at least for most policies. And if you're curious about which policies we're talking about, you can see here in the slide, these are the policies that are going to be reshaped through this co-creation process in ENPOR. And well, I'm not going to explain each of them, but you can see that they cover different types of policies or measures, from more soft measures, let's say, as the training and information, to grants and government's program. I think here what might be interesting to highlight is that some of these co-creation processes are being conducted in close cooperation with the national actors and other EU projects also. For example, in the Netherlands, there is another EU project called Energy Measures that they are also focusing on the energy box. So we're combining the efforts for meeting and exchanging. And also in Austria, the meetings are happening together with one of the ministries, which is directly working the policy. This is, of course, very good for the policy implementation afterwards. So the energy poverty dashboard. This is currently being developed, and it builds on the work done for the Energy Poverty Observatory, which some of you might know already. However, this dashboard is focused on the private rented sector. This is the differential here, and will become part of the Energy Poverty Observatory after the end of the project. The focus here is to really show where energy poverty in the PRS can be found, so the geography of energy poverty, and also to review the effects of energy efficiency policies on energy poverty, combining inputs from the ENPOR policies and other policies as much as possible. This overview will help to further adapt and improve the policies we are working also on ENPOR. So, in a summary, in one slide, how do we do it? Here you can see a summary on how we're working. And you can see there the framework of energy poverty. It covers the studies and the dashboard. Then we have the consultation with the REACT groups for the adaptation of the policies. And also we have the interventions of support schemes, which refers to implemented the change policies, and also it will inform the replication activities. Well, if you like the project so far and would like to find out more about it, I invite you to check the project's website and also to follow ENPOR on social media. You can see here the address and links. And thank you so much for your attention. I guess now if somebody has any questions about the project, both Vlasis and I will be happy to reply.
Well,
yes.
Thanks, Jen.
I knew you would be the first one, Jean-Sebastian.
Yes, but don't worry, that's the same in other conferences.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very interesting. Your slide with the different policies. We can see that there are many different approaches, and I was wondering if you could find policies that were really specific to the private rented sector, because from what I see here, that's either policy that are specific to tackling energy poverty, or specific to renovation, or even broader for energy efficiency. But among the ones you identified, is there any policy that is really focused and restricted to the private rented sector?
That's a very good question. Thanks a lot, Jean-Sebastian. Indeed, it's difficult because I think one of the main goals of the project here is to really see how we can incorporate the private rented sector, the needs, and all sorts of aspects into these existing policies to address energy poverty and energy efficiency. So this is the process that we are going through with the co-creation groups. How can we really adapt these policies to include more aspects that are specific to the private rented sector? So we don't have one policy or one measure that it's focused only on the private rented sector. Is that correct, Vlasis? Yeah. He's quiet, so I think so. Yeah.
And do you consider, because there has been some promotion of at least some regulatory changes through the ED to address the famous barrier of the split incentive. So do you consider in the scope of ENPOR to look at how it is possible for a building owner to share the cost of renovation with the tenant, for example?
Yes, yes, this is a very important aspect of it. And of course, it has to be addressed. So this is why it's so interesting to have both the perspectives of the tenants and the landlords, because we really need to see for each region and each country how this could be tackled, and also for each policy how this could be addressed. I mean, it's a very complex issue. There is one of the reports that you can download from the website. You can see already some literature review on this, and how this is very complex and is not so straightforward to address. So this is something for sure being discussed and considered in the groups for the co-creation. Yeah.
And at the opposite, do you look at policies that could increase the risk of energy poverty for?
Yeah, also because we have this this report here on the that is analyzing 30 energy efficiency policies and also how they impact energy poverty. So already in this report, we have some interesting findings on the impact, both positive or negative, and so on.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That's really great. A great project.
Thank you. If anybody, does anybody have another question, or?
I might have just out of
Yes.
curiosity, but maybe you have an idea of what are the are there any countries that are like that have the highest risk of being struck with energy poverty? Is there
Well, the south and eastern countries, yeah. They are the ones that we see the largest amount of energy poor so far. But when it comes to the private rented sector, this is something that we don't have a clear idea yet. So one of the goals of the project is also through the energy poverty dashboard to map and to understand how is energy poverty happening throughout Europe, in more specifically to the private rented sector.
Yeah, thank you.
Exactly. And if you want just to add here to Jen said it very correctly, is also that we have to consider that energy poverty is not only about the income part. I mean, indeed, we have the southern countries and the central and eastern European countries with the income levels, but it's also the types of housing we have. And that's where we see that if you combine the lower income, high energy prices, and poorly insulated households, there you have the problem much more aggravated. And recently we gave a presentation for the gas sector, and that's where we saw that countries with the highest gas sector, gas heating penetration, let's say, as a main heating source, do present also the highest energy poor rates. So it's not really a solution about the cheap fuel or the type of fuel, but it's also, as we said, the combination of the income and the housing stock behind.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the source of my question. So yeah, thanks.
Thanks a lot, Vlasis, and also Eric for the question. Would you like to make any other addition, Vlasis, or someone else would like to ask a question? Okay, I will understand that as everybody's happy with what we covered so far. So I want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy and you follow the project. Thank you so much.